They told you reality is solid, fixed, immutable. But what if that was the greatest illusion of all? What if reality is not a rigid wall of stone, but a shimmering sea of endless possibilities, waiting for a single gaze to decide what it will become? Pause here and let that thought pierce you. This is not just mysticism, not just poetry, not even mere philosophy. It is one of the most disturbing discoveries in modern science. Physicists, searching for the foundations of existence, stumbled upon something so shocking that it shattered the logic of the old world. They discovered that the tiniest building blocks of matter particles do not exist as solid things. They exist as clouds of potential, waves of maybes, infinite futures suspended in silence. But then, something happens. The moment an observer looks, the wave collapses. Potential becomes form. Maybe becomes matter. Infinity becomes this. They called it the observer effect. But here is what no one told you. This is not just about physics. This is not only about laboratories and scientists. This secret reaches into the very heart of your life, because the observer is not them. The observer is you. Pause again and feel the gravity of that revelation. Every time you look at the world, every time you expect, every time you believe, you are collapsing infinite possibilities into the one reality you choose to see. Observation is not passive. It is an act of creation, a spell disguised as attention, a sacred technology hidden in your very eyes. The ancients whispered this long ago, in temples, in mystery schools, in forgotten manuscripts. As within, so without. The eye shapes the world. Mystics, shamans, magicians, all spoke of the hidden power of vision. They knew consciousness is not a passenger. It is the architect. And now, science finally confirms what esoteric traditions guarded for millennia. Your consciousness is the ultimate creator. Think of your own life. How many times have you expected failure, and failure arrived? How many times did you hold faith in success, and suddenly doors opened where there were only walls? How many times has your fear called in exactly what you most wanted to avoid? These were not coincidences. They were collapses. The quantum field bending to the power of your observation. This means you are not a victim of chance, not a pawn in a random universe. You are the lens through which chaos becomes order, through which the invisible becomes visible, through which possibility condenses into reality. Pause, breathe, and imagine what this means for you. Imagine collapsing uncertainty into clarity. Imagine turning an unseen possibility into something tangible. Imagine realizing that life is not happening to you, but through you. And here lies the promise of this journey. In the next minutes, you will not only learn the truth of the observer effect, you will learn how to wield it. Not someday, not after years of training, but now, in as little as 90 seconds of focused observation. 90 seconds. A single breath extended. A brief moment of presence. That is all it takes to begin reshaping your world. But most people collapse reality unconsciously. They let fear dominate their gaze, and fear becomes flesh. They let doubt poison their thoughts, and doubt becomes destiny. They let the past dictate their vision, and the past repeats itself endlessly. This is the forgotten truth. Observation is constant. Whether conscious or unconscious, you are always creating. The only question is, will you keep collapsing chaos, or will you dare to collapse harmony, abundance, and freedom? Pause. Let this question echo inside, because the journey ahead is not theory. It is practice. It is remembrance. It is a key hidden in plain sight. Together, we will walk 4 thresholds. First, we will uncover what the observer truly is, not as an idea, but as a force. Then we will see how your thoughts and emotions are not private whispers, but signals broadcast into the quantum field. After that, you will enter a short but powerful ritual, a 90-second visualization. that will let you test this truth for yourself. And finally, we will expand beyond the personal to glimpse the cosmic truth of what it means to be an observer in the universe itself. Pause one last time and hold this thought. If the universe is watching you as you watch it, then perhaps the true secret is this: you are not only observing reality, reality is observing you. They say the ancient sages already knew that the universe itself is nothing more than a living mirror, a cosmic reflection, endlessly folding and unfolding, responding to the inner state of consciousness of the one who observes. And modern physics, though it may seem impossible, has confirmed this timeless intuition. What scientists found in their laboratories was not just a curious phenomenon, but a revelation that shattered the very foundation of reality. When an electron was observed, it behaved like a solid particle. When it was not observed, it dissolved into infinite probabilities, spreading out like a wave in every direction. It was as if the very act of looking activated a hidden force that crystallized the universe into a definite shape. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. The so-called objective reality we live in is nothing more than an ocean of possibilities, waiting to be called into form by the presence of the observer. And that observer is you. Every thought you hold, every emotion you feel, every intention you focus upon, works like a quantum collapse that rearranges the building blocks of the world around you, as if the universe were a vast symphony of energy, waiting for your consciousness to decide which note should be played. What if I told you that you are not just a passive witness of life? What if your inner gaze, your attention, were the brush painting the very canvas of your existence? The mystics of India called it Maya, the grand illusion of matter, shaped and reshaped by the mind of the observer. The Hermetic masters of ancient Egypt spoke of it as the law of correspondence, as within, so without. And the medieval alchemists whispered about the lumen internum, an inner light capable of transmuting matter when projected outward. Today, quantum physics names it differently. It calls it the observer effect, but the essence remains the same. Consciousness is the master key that organizes reality. Imagine for a moment that you stand before an infinite ocean of potential. Every wave represents a different path your life could take. Some waves shimmer with abundance, others ripple with struggle, and you, by fixing your awareness upon one, cause that wave to rise, solidify, and become your lived experience. This is no accident. The fact that you recall a dream or obsess over a fear is already aligning unseen energies to bring that frequency into your daily reality. The sages knew it. The scientists are beginning to glimpse it. And the truth is simple yet extraordinary. The observer does not merely watch reality. The observer creates it. Your mind, then, is not a fleeting collection of thoughts, but a living quantum laboratory. Every emotion you feel, every word you whisper within, every vision you hold in imagination is like an experiment that alters the structure of your life. Think about it. When you dwell on lack, on what is missing, you observe it so strongly that you collapse that same reality of scarcity. But when you turn your gaze inward toward abundance, even if at first it seems invisible, you begin to give it shape until it becomes inevitable in the physical world. Is this not the very definition of magic, the alchemy of consciousness, turning the invisible into the visible, the possible into the real? That is why ancient guardians of wisdom warned, guard your thoughts, for thoughts are things. It was not just poetic metaphor, it was literal instruction. Every second of your life, you are collapsing realities. Every look, every word, every sustained feeling is opening one door while closing another. The secret is that you can learn to do it consciously. Breathe deeply, and for a moment, feel that everything around you is not fixed, not solid, but a malleable field, awaiting your command. That is the power of the quantum observer, a secret as old as the temples carved in stone, and as modern as the particle accelerators that probe the fabric of existence. A secret that has always been in front of you, yet only a few dare to use deliberately. And now that you know, one question becomes impossible to ignore. What are you choosing to observe right now? If the observer is truly the hidden architect of reality, then the next question is no longer theoretical. It is deeply personal. How can you, right now, begin to wield this force deliberately? How can you shift from being an unconscious creator to a conscious master of your own field of reality? The sages, mystics, and alchemists all left us clues, and today we can translate their wisdom into a simple yet powerful ritual. This is not a ritual of superstition. It is not about strange tools or ancient relics. It is about awakening the forgotten power that has always lived within you. So let us begin. Close your eyes and allow your breath to guide you inward. Breathe in slowly, hold the air in your lungs for a brief, sacred pause, and then exhale softly, as if releasing the weight of the world. Do this 3 times. With every breath, feel yourself stepping out of the noise of ordinary life and entering into the stillness where the observer awakens. Now, bring to mind something you wish to shift in your reality. It could be a vision of abundance, a state of healing, a sense of deep connection, or simply the next step you long to experience on your journey. Do not force it. Just allow the image to gently rise in your inner screen, like a symbol emerging from the mist. See it, feel it, sense it as if it were already happening. Here lies the key. The quantum field does not respond to your doubts. It responds to your attention. It responds to the frequency of what you choose to observe with conviction. So as you hold this vision, do not ask when it will come or how it will appear. Instead, simply become the observer who witnesses it as real. Now, feel the emotions that accompany it. If it is abundance, feel gratitude rising in your chest. If it is healing, feel wholeness spreading through your body. If it is love, feel your heart glowing with warmth and expansion. Stay here, not as someone waiting, but as someone observing, because the moment you observe with inner certainty, you are already collapsing reality into form. And now, let us deepen the ritual. Visualize a sphere of golden light surrounding you. This sphere is the sacred geometry of the observer, the luminous mirror between your inner world and the outer universe. As you breathe, imagine this golden light pulsing gently with every heartbeat. With each pulse, the vision you are holding becomes brighter, sharper, more alive. You are imprinting it into the quantum field. Repeat silently within yourself. I am the observer. I choose, and what I choose becomes. Feel the resonance of those words, not as mere affirmations, but as commands written into the living code of the universe. Stay in this state for as long as you desire, for in this state, you are no longer waiting for life to happen. You are participating in the very act of creation. When you are ready, slowly bring your awareness back to your breath. Open your eyes gently and carry with you the certainty that what you observed has already begun its journey into physical manifestation. This ritual is deceptively simple, but remember, simplicity is the mark of true power. Because the universe is not impressed by complexity, it responds to clarity, intention, and the unwavering gaze of the observer. And now you know, you can choose, in any moment, to collapse a new reality, not by effort, not by struggle, but by the sacred act of observing it into existence. This is the art of conscious creation. This is the hidden ritual of the quantum observer. The ritual you have just experienced is not meant to remain a mystical exercise confined to moments of silence. It is a living practice, a way of walking through the world with the awareness that you are never merely a spectator. You are always a creator. This realization may sound grand, almost overwhelming, but its true beauty lies in its simplicity. Because once you understand the essence of the observer, you begin to see its power in the smallest details of daily life. Pause for a moment and reflect. Have you ever noticed how a single thought can change the way the world responds to you? When you wake up heavy worrying about what could go wrong, suddenly the day seems to arrange itself in echoes of that fear. Delays appear. People mirror your tension. Opportunities slip through unnoticed. But when you rise with clarity, when you choose to observe your reality as filled with flow, abundance, and possibility, you find that doors open effortlessly, conversations flow with synchronicity, and what seemed impossible yesterday now approaches you with ease. This is not luck. It is the law of the observer in action. Consider this simple example. Imagine walking into a room where you know no one. If you enter with the inner observation of being unworthy or invisible, your body language unconsciously reflects it. You avoid eye contact. You speak softly. And soon, others confirm what you were already observing. But if, before stepping in, you close your eyes for just a moment and awaken the observer within, you shift your inner gaze to a reality where you are already connected, seen, and valued. You breathe into that vision. You observe it as true. And when you open your eyes, the field around you responds differently. People smile. Conversations begin. The room itself reshapes to reflect your inner state. The observer's power does not end there. It extends to your health, your relationships, even your future. A person who constantly observes themselves as sick will collapse that identity over and over. But one who chooses to observe the body as healing, whole, and luminous, sends signals to the cells, to the very blueprint of life, to reorganize toward that chosen image. Science now calls it the placebo effect. The mystics called it faith, but both point to the same secret. The universe follows the gaze of the observer. Think of relationships. When you only observe your partner's flaws, you collapse that version of them again and again. But when you choose to observe their hidden beauty, their potential, their light, you awaken those very qualities in them. Not because you force them, but because your observation calls them forth. Even your future bends beneath this truth. If you spend your days observing obstacles, your tomorrow will faithfully deliver them. But if you choose deliberately, patiently, consistently, to observe possibility, gratitude, and creation, your future will collapse into forms you never imagined. This is why the ancients insisted that the outer world is a reflection of the inner, because the observer is not just behind your eyes. The observer is the consciousness flowing through you, the divine spark that connects to the field of all things. And so the ritual of the observer is not meant to be practiced once and forgotten. It is meant to become the rhythm of your days. Every thought, every glance, every word becomes a sacred act of creation. When you sip your morning tea, you can observe peace flowing into your body. When you walk through a crowded street, you can observe light surrounding and protecting you. When you face uncertainty, you can observe yourself already aligned with the solution. In this way, the mystical is woven into the ordinary. The observer's power does not wait for temples or sacred sites. It is alive in your kitchen, in your workplace, in the quiet moments before you sleep. And here lies the deeper revelation. The world is not happening to you. It is happening through you. Your observation is the lens that shapes it, moment by moment, choice by choice. Remember this truth. Every time you turn your attention toward fear, you collapse fear. Every time you turn your attention toward possibility, you collapse possibility. The question is never whether you are creating. The only question is what you are choosing to observe. And now, you are beginning to see the true magnitude of this secret. Because if the observer is the hidden axis of creation, then learning to master your observation is nothing less than learning to master reality itself. Throughout history, different traditions, scattered across distant lands and separated by centuries, whispered the same truth in different languages. The observer shapes reality. The sages of India spoke of it through the teachings of the Upanishads. They declared, "You are not the body, nor the mind. You are the witness, the eternal seer." In their sacred vision, life itself unfolded as a dream, and freedom was found the moment you recognized yourself, not as the dreamer, but as the observer of the dream. The mystics of Egypt encoded this knowledge in their Hermetic laws. As within, so without, they taught. To them the universe was a grand mirror, and every hidden thought, every unseen feeling, was destined to appear in the outer world. Their temples were not built merely of stone, but as laboratories of consciousness, where initiates trained to hold inner images until the cosmos bent to reflect them. The Buddhist masters too understood. They spoke of vipassana, clear seeing, to sit in silence, observing without judgment, until the veil of illusion dissolved and the truth of reality revealed itself. For them, liberation was not about changing the world outside, but awakening the observer within. Even the alchemists of medieval Europe, often misunderstood as seekers of gold, were in truth seekers of a deeper transmutation. The gold they longed for was not metal. It was the radiant state born, when the inner observer dissolved leaden thoughts and crystallized the luminous vision of spirit. Different cultures, different symbols, but always the same hidden axis. The observer is the point where the human and the divine meet. And now, in this modern age, quantum physics dares to echo these ancient voices. The double-slit experiment reveals that particles obey the gaze of observation. Science, once thought to banish mystery, has become its reluctant guardian, confirming what mystics proclaimed long before microscopes and equations. So where does this leave you? It leaves you with a choice. Will you live as one who observes unconsciously, collapsing the same reality of limitation day after day? Or will you rise as one who chooses deliberately, collapsing realities aligned with the vision of your higher self? To help you step into this mastery, let us move into an advanced exercise, a way to strengthen the ritual of the observer and anchor it more deeply in your daily life. Close your eyes once more and breathe into stillness. Feel the field of infinite possibilities surrounding you, like a vast ocean of shimmering light. Now imagine two versions of yourself standing before you. On your left, a version of you shaped by fear, doubt, and limitation. See how they carry themselves. Notice the heaviness in their shoulders, the dimness in their eyes, the narrow path they walk. On your right, a version of you shaped by confidence, clarity, and infinite trust. See how they stand tall, how their eyes shine with purpose, how opportunities seem to gather around them like stars orbiting a sun. Breathe, and know that both versions exist as potentials in the quantum field. Both are waiting for the gaze of the observer. Now, make your choice. Turn your attention fully toward the luminous self on your right. Observe them with unwavering certainty. Step into their skin. Feel their breath become your breath, their posture become your posture, their radiant frequency vibrating through your being. As you do this, repeat silently, I collapse the reality I choose. I choose light. I choose expansion. I choose to observe the highest version of myself. And so it is. Stay here for a few moments, until you feel the shift deep within your body. This is not imagination. This is creation. The moment you choose, the field around you responds. When you open your eyes, carry this state with you. Walk as the luminous self you observed. Speak as they would speak. Act as they would act. For every action, every word, every choice will echo the reality you have collapsed. This exercise may seem simple, but remember, simplicity conceals power. It is the repeated act of observation that transforms possibility into inevitability. The mystics trained in secret chambers. The monks sat in silence for decades. The alchemists hid their wisdom behind symbols. You too now hold their secret. And with practice, with patience, with devotion, you will learn that the observer's power is not reserved for saints or sages. It is the birthright of every soul. The question is no longer does it work. The question is, will you dare to use it consciously? The secret of the quantum observer may sound like a lofty idea, something reserved for sages in temples or scientists in white coats. But the truth is far more intimate. It is alive in the stories of ordinary people who dared to shift the gaze of their inner eye, and by doing so, changed their reality forever. Take, for example, the story of a woman who had struggled for years with illness. Doctors gave her little hope. Her body was frail, her energy fading, but instead of surrendering to despair, she began practicing the observer's ritual in silence each morning. She closed her eyes and refused to observe herself as a patient. She refused to collapse the reality of sickness again and again. Instead, she observed a version of herself radiant with health, walking through fields of light, laughing with friends, living as if healing were already true. Weeks turned into months. Her body, little by little, began to respond. Doctors could not explain it, but she knew. Her cells had obeyed the vision of the observer. She had collapsed the reality of health into existence. Consider another story. A man who was drowning in financial struggle. Every day he observed his life through the lens of lack. Bills, debt, and worry filled his mind. And so the universe faithfully delivered more of the same. One night, after hearing of the observer's power, he decided to try something different. Instead of lying awake in fear, he closed his eyes and observed abundance flowing into his life. He pictured opportunities arriving, felt the gratitude of receiving, and walked through his imagination as if his future were already transformed. Within weeks, a job offer arrived, one he had never expected. Connections appeared, doors opened, and resources flowed. What had changed? Not the outer world at first, but the lens of his inner observation. And soon the world outside bent to match it. Even science has documented these mysteries. Athletes who vividly observe themselves succeeding often perform better than those who only train physically. Their brains cannot distinguish between imagined observation and real action. In both cases, neural pathways are strengthened, and the body follows the mind's command. But perhaps the most compelling stories are the ones you have lived yourself. Think back. Have you ever held a deep fear so strongly that it seemed to come true? Or focused so intently on a dream that against all odds it eventually appeared? This is not coincidence. It is not luck. It is the observer at work, the secret that quietly shapes every life. The ancients told stories to encode this wisdom. They spoke of gods who created worlds with a word, of magicians who transformed reality with vision alone. Today we might dismiss them as myths, but what if they were metaphors for the truth you now know? That your consciousness is the divine spark, and your observation the command that organizes creation. Imagine, for a moment, applying this truth in your own life. If you are facing conflict, you could choose to observe peace until it becomes visible. If you are lost in uncertainty, you could observe clarity until the path appears. If you are burdened by fear, you could observe freedom until the chains dissolve. The observer's power is not limited to sacred rituals in silence. It is alive in your everyday choices. When you decide to see possibility where others see failure. When you choose to observe light in someone others have judged as darkness. When you insist on holding the vision of your future even when your present screams otherwise. You are practicing the ancient art of conscious creation. And here lies the ultimate invitation, to stop waiting for miracles to arrive from the outside, and to realize that you are the miracle, the source from which reality unfolds. For every great story of transformation begins the same way. Someone, somewhere, dared to change the direction of their gaze. They chose to observe a higher reality, and in time, that reality crystallized around them. The question is not whether the observer's power works. The question is whether you will be bold enough to claim it, to test it, to live it. Because your story, the one you are writing right now with your choices and your attention, could be the next great testimony of this timeless secret. Science and mysticism. Two worlds often seen as opposites. One grounded in equations and measurements, the other in symbols and silence. Yet here, in the secret of the quantum observer, they meet like rivers joining the same ocean. Quantum physics reveals that particles shift according to the presence of the observer. Mysticism whispers that consciousness weaves the fabric of reality, and in this rare place of agreement, a hidden door opens, inviting you to see yourself not as small or powerless, but as the very axis where reality is born. Think of it. Your thoughts are not fleeting shadows. Your emotions are not random currents. They are commands, vibrations that sculpt the invisible field around you. Every vision you dare to hold, every image you sustain with clarity, becomes a seed planted in the quantum soil of existence. And sooner or later, the seed breaks the surface, growing into the life you experience. This is why sages warned, guard your inner world, not from fear, but from wisdom, because they knew what you now know. The inner is never separate from the outer. They are reflections of the same mirror. So what does this mean for your life? It means that the greatest temple is your mind. The most sacred ritual is your attention. And the altar of creation is every moment you choose to observe with intention. Imagine living each day as if you were both scientist and mystic, with the precision of one who experiments carefully, and the wonder of one who prays deeply. You become the bridge, a living union of knowledge and mystery, of reason and revelation. And here lies the true secret. You do not need to wait for proof from the outside world. The proof comes the moment you feel the shift within, the calm certainty, the alignment of thought, feeling, and vision. That is the observer awakening. From this place, miracles are no longer accidents. They are inevitabilities. They are the natural outcome of consciousness choosing, again and again, to observe reality with clarity and devotion. Pause now, and imagine what would happen if thousands of people around the world practiced this secret together. If instead of observing fear, they observed peace. If instead of scarcity, they observed abundance. If instead of separation, they observed unity, the world itself would bend. The collective dream would shift. A new reality would emerge, not from force, but from the silent power of shared observation. And you, listening now, are part of that awakening. This is not just a teaching to ponder. It is an invitation to embody, to become the observer of your highest life, to practice daily the art of collapsing realities aligned with your deepest truth. So as you step back into your own life, after hearing these words, remember, you are never powerless. You are never separate from creation. You are the observer. And with every breath, every choice, every gaze inward and outward, you are shaping the very fabric of existence. Carry this wisdom with reverence. Practice it with courage. And watch as your world bends to the clarity of your observation. If these words resonate with the hidden truth already within you, stay close to this space. Here in Mystic Mind, we walk the path together. Science and spirit, mystery and mastery, revealing secrets the world has long forgotten. Because the greatest magic of all is remembering who you truly are. The journey we have taken together is not merely an idea to admire from afar. It is the remembrance of something you have always known, but perhaps forgotten in the noise of daily life. The quantum observer is not a theory. It is not only science, nor only mysticism. It is the silent truth, breathing within you. The force that has always been shaping your path, waiting for you to awaken to it consciously. Pause here. Feel the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Each beat is a reminder. You are alive. You are connected. You are the witness through which the universe sees itself. The sages, the mystics, the scientists, they all pointed to this same center. Some called it the soul. Some called it the mind. Some called it energy. But beneath every name was the same reality. The power of observation, to choose, to focus, to create. And now, standing here at the end of this revelation, you know that you are not drifting in a random universe. You are not a leaf blown helplessly by the winds of fate. You are the wind itself, You are the dreamer behind the dream. You are the observer who calls worlds into being. Look around you. The objects, the sounds, the sensations. Everything you see began as unseen potential, drawn into form by consciousness. And if reality has always obeyed the gaze of the observer, then what greater power could you possibly hold? Do not underestimate the simplicity of this truth. The greatest secrets are often hidden in plain sight. As you move forward from this moment, let every step become a sacred act of observation. Let every thought be a seed you plant in the infinite field. Let every vision you dare to hold be a declaration to the universe of what you choose to collapse into form. Because life will no longer feel like something happening to you. It will feel like something happening through you. And in that shift you awaken to the reality that the observer and the universe are not separate at all. They are one. You are one. So breathe deeply. Carry this awareness into your tomorrow. When challenges arise, observe the solution. When fear whispers, observe courage. When darkness falls, observe the light still shining within. This is not the end of the teaching. It is the beginning of your practice. A lifelong dance between inner vision and outer manifestation. A reminder, whispered in every breath, that you hold the same creative power that mystics bowed before and scientists now chase in equations. And when doubt comes, because it will, remember this. Even doubt itself can only exist if you observe it. Shift your gaze, and the reality before you shifts with it. You are the observer, the ancient secret hidden in temples, the phenomenon confirmed in laboratories, the magic that was never outside you, but within you all along. Carry it, live it, become it. And when you do, you will not only transform your life, you will become a light for others, a mirror reminding them of their own forgotten power. Together, as more awaken to this truth, the collective dream of humanity will begin to shift. The world will bend toward higher visions. A new reality will rise, not by force but by the simple, eternal act of consciousness, observing itself into creation. And perhaps, that is the greatest secret of all.